Good day, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Fide Nations Cup chess review. Let's have a look at the game between Fabiano, Caruana, and Gujrathi Vidit. This was played in the first round of the Fide Nations Cup online tournament, and I have to admit I haven't seen an impressive endgame like this in some time. So let's jump right into things and see what happened. Fabiano Caruana played white for the USA and Vidit played black for India. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6, the Berlin defense. So there's many different ideas here. Obviously, most of you might have seen the bishop takes c6 variations with the knight takes e5 variations. All sorts of different positions arise from this, but Fabiano decided to rather go for the slow d3 move. Bishop c5, bishop a4, white castle, black castles, white castles, and d6. Pretty standard position, very symmetrical pawn structure, and you can expect a whole lot of slow maneuvering, looking for any type of positional weaknesses that either white or black might offer in these type of positions. So Fabi goes for the c3 idea, nice square to perhaps tuck the a4 bishop into, knight e7, rook e1, knight g6. Just remaneuvering this knight to cover the strong f5 square, and also just provide some general protection for the king. Main ideas are obviously for black to also play for this idea of c6 and d5. Let's see how the game continued. Knight bd2, c6, knight f1. So the knight on f1 does support perhaps the bishop e3 move, or perhaps knight g3, knight e3. Many different ideas here, but as I've mentioned before, a lot of maneuvering will take place in these types of positions. So black continues d5, e takes d, knight takes d5, knight g3, rook e8, just covering the e5 square. h3, and this is a position which has been played before, and I just would like to show the main move that was played here by Vidit was bishop to b6, probably looking for some type of an improvement in the position. I would like to also point out that the move h6 instead of bishop b6, the move h6 was played between Sam Shankland and Ng3 Re8 in 2019. So we'll copy the game down in the description below. Just a couple of moves that I would like to go through, just to sort of show you where the position went to and what arose from it. Sam Shankland took this game quite comfortably. Sam played bishop b3, a5, d4, e takes d, rook takes e8 check, queen takes e8, bishop takes d5, c takes d5, knight takes d4, creating the isolated queen's pawn on d5, a4, bishop e3, knight e5. So not to bore you with a game that has been played before, please have a look at the game. As mentioned before, it's copied down below in the description. Let's get back to the game. Bishop e6 was played by Vidit. Bishop c2, h6, bishop d2, bishop c7, still plenty of maneuvering, just improving the pieces. And finally, Fabi decides to break with pawn to d4. There's obviously no alternatives for at least advancing the pawn, so black is left to either leave the pawn on e5 or capture on d4, which he did. He took on d4, rooks got exchanged on e8, queen takes, and then the knight captures on d4 to not leave white with an isolated queen spawn on d4. Bishop d7, queen f3, queen e5, getting the nice bishop and queen, getting the nice bishop and queen diagonal towards the king. Okay, rook e1, queen d6, king f1, knight e5, queen e2, rook e8, knight df5, and now it's become evident that white has some initiative. The knight's g3 and the knight on d4 going to f5 quickly does create some counterplay, especially on the king side, and he seems to have a firm grip over the e-file for now. So instead of exchanging the bishop on d7 for the knight on f5, black has decided to retreat the queen to f8 and tuck the queen, and try and keep the initiative by keeping these two bishops on the board. And now Fabi continued with queen h5, and now it's become more evident that because of the possible knight takes h6, black is pretty much forced to take on f5. So just to explain to you why this is perhaps such a threat, if the knight goes to c4, for example, the bishop can take on h6, and the position can continue with some aggressive play on both ends. This is an analyzed position where, even though black is a piece up after knight to h5, black is basically forced to perpetual because there's an immediate check on g7 and ultimately a check on f6. If this queen goes to e3 check, there will be a simple exchange, and knight f6 will leave black a pawn down. So in other words, black will simply repeat moves and force a draw. This, however, did not happen, and because of this reason, black decided to, instead of playing knight c4, rather offer up the bishop pair by taking on f5, not to allow any devious knight takes h6 or bishop takes h6. And the game continued. Knight takes, knight g6, just to sort of offer some additional protection over the king side and open up the e-file for the rooks to be exchanged. And this happened. Rook takes e8, queen takes e8, g3, knight f6, queen f3. Black consolidates quite well. Queen d8, bishop c1. The main benefit that white has in this position is obviously the bishop pair, and both of these pieces are aggressively playing towards the king side. So it's very difficult and uncomfortable for black to play, but it's definitely holdable. Queen d5, offering to consolidate a bit more by exchanging pieces. Queen takes, knight takes d5. Fabi says I'll exchange queens, because out of two bishops, my endgame should be much more comfortable. King e2, king f8, h4, gaining some space on the queen side, knight e5, and now bishop b3 got played. There was another argument, instead of bishop b3, that bishop e4 might look slightly more effective and sharper, in the form of perhaps looking at moves like knight f6, bishop g2, h5, b3, g6, bishop a3 check, and the bishop might be a little bit more active, hitting the light square diagonal along here, and this bishop covering more squares along the dark square diagonal over here. So instead, bishop b3 move was played, which I feel is pretty fine too. Bishop e4 was just perhaps something interesting to have a look at. Knight e7, knight takes, king takes. And now it's a classical endgame where you've got the bishop pair versus the knight and the bishop. The bishops usually are favorable in these type of endgames, as they attack more directly, whereas the knight will take a couple of additional moves to get the same effect. Again, these are the type of positions where you can argue this theoretically, but everything needs to be proven at the board. And this is what Fabi does quite well. h5, knight e7, bishop d1, knight f6, king d3, king comes to the center and also asks the bishop to protect the h5 pawn, bishop b6, f4, g6, h takes g6, f takes, king e2, knight d5, king f3, h5, bishop d2. Now the c4 move might allow an improvement of the bishop on d2 to c3, king f6, c4, knight e7, and bishop c3 check. King e6, b4, gaining space on the queen side and asking black how they will deal with this. Black chooses knight f5, c4, and bishop b3. Now these positions make it very clear that the strong activity of these two bishops are dominating the entire position and dominating the bishop on c7 as well as the knight on f5. So let's see how things continue. King e7, bishop c4, b6, a4, b takes c, b takes c, king e8, a5, bishop d8, bishop d3, bishop e7, bishop b4, just protecting the c5 pawn, bishop f6, and a6. What's interesting about the a6 move is it doesn't seem to be doing much, but it definitely opens up the possibilities for white to put the bishop on a5 and put the bishop on b6. If the bishop ever gets taken, then this pawn will just have a free run on the a file. So bishop e7, this move at least puts pressure on the c5 square, that if this move ever gets played, the c5 square is weak and the pawn will drop. g4, h takes g4, king takes g4, knight e3 check, king f3, knight d5, bishop takes g6 check, king f8, bishop a3, knight c7, bishop d3, knight e6. Now black gets the pawn back on c5, bishop c4, knight takes c5, and notice that no exchanges will happen on this file because white knows what the value of the two bishops are. Bishop c1, knight e7, king e4. Now with the centralized king, it is apparent to see that how fast this pawn on f4 might become, and also what type of dangers might come from the A and C pawns on the queen side if black is not careful. Bishop c5, king f5, king e7, bishop b2, bishop e3, bishop e2, knight e6, bishop f3, c5, bishop f6 check, king f7. This position is considerably better for white already. An argument might be made that king d7 sort of still keeps fighting, but barely. So just as a consideration point, king d7 might have been a good type of position to analyze. King f7, bishop h5 check, king f8, bishop e5, c4, king e4, bishop c5, and now this pawn starts to march. f5, knight d7, bishop c3, bishop e7, bishop e2. Now the c4 pawn has become very weak, and he will constantly ask black to please protect their pawns. Black chooses to ignore it and plays knight c5, check, and rather take the a6 pawn. King e5, knight a6, bishop takes c4, knight c5, bishop d2, aiming for the a6 square, knight d7, king e6, knight c5 check, king d5, king g7, bishop e2, king f6, bishop g4, just protecting the pawn, knight d7, bishop c3 check, king g5, bishop h3, bishop f6, bishop d2 check, king h4, bishop f1. So the big thing is black must now find a way to prevent king e6. This king has strayed too far from the center, and king e6 will pick up an exchange or allow the pawn to march. So bishop g4, bishop b4, knight f6, king e6, knight e4, bishop d3, knight g3, f6. This pawn will just promote it. Black doesn't take it, so black offers the exchange for the pawn. King takes f6, and now it becomes a very interesting battle of two bishops versus the knight as soon as this a7 pawn drops. And again, a position that we do not see often. King f3, bishop a6, just ensuring that this pawn has nowhere to move to. Knight e2, bishop d2, just cutting off critical squares for the knight. Knight g3, bishop g5, knight e4, and bishop b7 pins the knight. King g4, bishop g3, knight g3, bishop f2, a5, bishop c6, a4, bishop takes a4, and now the battle begins between the two bishops and the knight. What's interesting is the coordination of these two bishops to actually win this game. King f3, bishop d4. Obviously there's a nasty bishop c6 move, so the king hops back to g4. Bishop d1, king g4, bishop e3. Just notice how the bishops coordinate to create a wall and cut off any squares that this king possibly might move to. So this king will be forced in the direction of this corner over here. White will just manually cut off line by line or diagonal by diagonal until the king is forced to that corner. King g6, bishop c2 check, bishop f7, bishop d1, king g6, king e6, stops black from going to f7 now, so bishop c2 may be more aggressive this time. Knight h5, bishop c2 check, king g7, king e7. Now again, notice that both the light squared and the dark squared diagonals are cut off. Now g3, bishop d3, knight h5, bishop g5, now g3, king d6, knight h5, king f5. Now, this is the correct way. You avoid the king from getting out, and then you just start cutting off more diagonals. King f7, bishop c4 check, forces the king back to g7. Bishop h4 asks black to make a move. As we can see, there is absolutely no safe square for this knight, which means the king is forced to move to h6. Bishop f7, now g7, king g4, king h7, king g5, King H8, and King G6 says your king can't move, so please move your knight. As soon as the knight moves, bishop F6 check offers a mate into now G7, and bishop takes G7 checkmate. Very, very technical endgame with an opening filled with many maneuvers throughout the middle game, throughout the endgame. Ultimately, the bishops did triumph in a position which is usually very solid for black. The bishop pair conquered at least the endgame part of this game, and very interesting technique used by Fabi during this endgame, and it's always nice to see the conversion of these endgames with two bishops versus a knight. Okay guys, again, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and please be free to make some suggestions for any type of game reviews or content that you would like us to discuss, and we will be sure to get back to you guys as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Bye.